Morning, morning. Today we'll have a little bit of a conversation around the topic of self-inquiry, and then we'll sit for a bit. One thing that was occurring to me is that it's not by acting spiritual, it's not by acting kindly, it's not by acting generously, it's not by acting in these ways that we arrive at the self. It's the other way round. When we come from the self, the true self, not from the agendas of the personality, not from the agendas of the persona or the ego, but when we come from the self, kindness occurs naturally. Generosity occurs naturally. And we find that all the good qualities and virtues that we thought we didn't have when we were identifying as the psychological self arise naturally in us when we start to make that effort to return to the heart, to come down from the head and bring it all back into the heart. And this is the great transformation, this is the great journey. And it happens by grace. And it's inconceivable. You can't imagine it until it actually happens. And then your kindness is really kindness because it doesn't have any motive at all. Then your generosity is true giving because there's nothing wanted. It's not saying anything. It's simply just giving from a pure heart. And then it has tremendous results. Quite often you see people, I've been one of them, and they try and help everybody, and they like give and give and give and give and give. But somehow their giving never quite works. It never quite works. Yet if you give from the heart, you get extraordinary results coming back. But you're not interested. You're not doing it for result. You're doing it because it's to be done in that moment. So acting spiritual is not the same as being spiritual. Acting, people look at realized beings and see how they act and then think, okay, if I act like that, that'll be a good thing. But acting, it doesn't really cut it because it's not authentic. It's still you projecting yourself as something. What about disappearing? Literally, what about disappearing? Do we need to be on guard the whole time? Ready for attack, always holding a sword in one hand and a shield in another. Attack and defense. Attacking and defending what? Egos. People's idea of themselves. People's opinions, which are part of their idea of themselves. Do we have to have all these opinions? Do we have to know what's going on? No, we don't. The only thing we have to know, really, is who am I? Beyond the part that I'm playing, beyond my acts, who actually am I? Who was I before my birth? Who have I been consistently throughout this birth? One of the sure signs of beginning to understand the self, beginning to be the self, the true self, is that you will notice your fear of death has gone. Where did that go? Oh, I don't want to die, and we have this fear of death because we don't know what it is, and it's scary stuff. But the more time we spend as presence, the more time we spend bathing in the ocean of suchness, the more time we allow this astonishing silence to unfold in us, we notice that the fear of death has gone. It hasn't been rationalized away. It's gone because there's a deeper truth. What is born will certainly die. This body. I saw this thing the other day, and it was just like the sperm and the ovary connected, and then it multiplied and it multiplied. And it's all of that has got me to here. But all of that created, that will die. That will return into the dust. But is that something to be discovered that won't have that fate? Because it didn't start anywhere, it wasn't born. It just is. In a similar way to the sky just is. It doesn't grow, it doesn't evolve, doesn't get wounded, doesn't have off days. Oh, the sky is not having a good day today. The sky is always the same. The weather's changing, the sky is always the same. And that shift in me from identifying as the weather, as my states of consciousness, as this I ego, as my body, shifting from that into this heart place, into this endless boundlessness. I wasn't born, I won't die. It automatically, you don't have to chip away at your fear of death or your fear of anything, in fact. As we spend more time, more of our precious time sitting as presence, it enlightens us as to what actually is the truth about ourselves and the life that we have. And naturally, ignorance falls away, root ignorance. There are some things you can be ignorant of, and it really doesn't matter. I don't know this, I don't know that. It doesn't matter. It has no real impact at all. And some things you can know that are interesting. But being ignorant of the fantastic truth of existence, that really is ignorance. And it's not blissful. It's the opposite. It's suffering. But then we get used to suffering. I think it's normal, which of course it isn't. And knowledge is the direct perception of what is. Nothing has to be generated. Reality doesn't have to be generated. Peace doesn't have to be generated. Presence doesn't have to be generated. The natural state doesn't have to be generated. It's already there. But our attention has been in our thoughts. And your attention just can't be in two places at once. People say, oh no, I can multitask. Well, no, you can't. You can't put your attention in two places at once. You're either in the realm of your thoughts, the past and the future, or you're feeling that presence. In which case, you can put down and let go of the idea that you have of yourself and realize that it's just an idea coming out of your thoughts. and you're the one listening to the thoughts. And so the direction is, don't try and find yourself in your mind. You get a really disappointing answer. You'll find, oh my God, I'm full of selfishness. Oh my God, I'm full of confusion. Oh my God, I've got all these complexes and weird behaviors and mental stuff. That's what you'll find if you look for yourself in your mind. But that's all part of who you are, the part you're playing. It's not who you are. It's not the self. The self is untouched, uncontaminated. The self is pure knowledge, not conceptual. Pure being, pure knowledge, pure knowing. Wholeness. And feeling and being that, relaxing into that, merging into that, dying into that, surrendering into that. That is the most fantastic capacity that this life affords us. Everything else is really rather boring compared to that. No, it's relatively fun, Sunny days are better than rainy days, but that's not the real joy. That's not the real excitement. The real source of passion, awakeness. We simply couldn't be fully awake in our minds. It would be just too horrific. Feeling that, awake to that ignorance, awake to that pain, awake to that unresolvedness. It would be horrible. But we can be fully awake to awakeness, which is behind that. And whatever has happened doesn't affect the fact that you are alive. And being alive, there's an experience of that. And there is no death, the deathless state, where you are what doesn't get born, where you are what doesn't die. And your consciousness has touched and become one with that. And what is the product of that togetherness of consciousness and awareness, of consciousness and the self? It's bliss. And peace. So let us now, for a moment, come into this place properly. And we'll do the neti-neti process, which is so simple and so powerful. And the neti-neti meditation, which is coming from India, and an ancient and wonderful thing, is simply, neti means not this, not this. So let us just for a few moments close our eyes and become aware of everything that's happening. On the outside, I can perceive temperature, quite cold. Okay, I'm not interested in that, not that, not that. I can hear my computer making a noise, not interested, not that, discount that, not that. I can feel myself sitting on my bed, not that. I can feel my weight. Not that. I can feel the shape of my body. Top of my head, my shoulders, my arms, my trunk, my buttocks, my thighs, my legs, my knees, the ache in my knees. I'm not interested in any of those sensations. That whole bandwidth of frequency I discount. I notice my breath. I pretend that I'm breathing myself, but I am not. I watch myself being breathed. I'm aware of being breathed. But I even let that go, because I'm still perceiving it. There's me and my perception of my breath. Now I feel peace and energetic sensations, but not that either. I have the sense of being within, and I have the sense of the without, what's outside, but not that either. I'm not within. Not the distinction within and without. Letting that go. I can hear my thoughts. I'm not interested in anything they have to say. I can put that down. Not that frequencies either. Mental frequencies, not that, not that. I'm seeing particles dancing, light particles, colored particles, dark particles dancing. I'm seeing different kinds of illumination, not that, not that. I'm hearing frequencies, not that, not that. My mind is now quiet and I have a simple sense I am. I am. I am. Not even that. Not even that. All of the things that I've mentioned, which I am not, can be looked at, can be perceived. But what is it that I actually am? You are it. Trust your knowing. Trust your experience. Don't trust your mind. Put that down. Not that, not that. Not your ideas, not that. What actually is there, that isn't perceived, that isn't a thing. The mind squirms because it cannot get it. Yet I am. How do you know you're breathing? Being completely unassociated with anything. Completely unsupported. Floating free. Nothing to gain, nothing to attain. No state to generate. Exactly what is. Feeling of having a body and all the sensations that entails. I am not that, not that. The distinction within and without, not that, not that. Is the truth located somewhere? No. Not that. So the more that we do this, it gradually or quickly dawns on us what these statements mean. In what context are they true? In what context is it true, experientially, that the truth is not within you? That the very notion of being within, it's not that. What context is that true? Can you experience that? Where the idea of a within and a without, both are illusory and figments of a dream. And that dream is held by something. That dream is projected into something. We're looking for the thing that it's projected into. the unchanging reality, so that we might realize the truth. The truth isn't a statement. The truth isn't a thing. The truth, we are. And the mind doesn't like any of this, because it can't grasp it. And that's what's so wonderful. A whole new world. Another dimension to this life. However much peace you feel, there's more. However much silence, there's more. However much love, there's more. However much understanding and realization, there's more. Don't pull off the highway. We have a certain amount of time to get really clear about what the truth is in terms of experience, to realize it. Not being told it is not going to help. Believing is not going to help. So, it's wonderful, totally wonderful. And it's always there. Doesn't matter what the weather is, doesn't matter how you're feeling emotionally, doesn't matter what kind of tonality your thoughts have, doesn't matter what your body's feeling like. Behind that, this incredible place is there. Always unchanging, and exactly like the sky doesn't change, no matter what the weather is, whether it's stormy and grey or whether it's brilliant sunshine and rainbows. The sky is untouched, unchanging. The sky-like awareness, the sky-like awareness that drives everything, that supports everything, that pervades everything, that is the substratum of everything. So, thank you for listening, and all these videos are posted also on Timian Talks YouTube channel, so you can see them there as well.